Hello, I'm Ranger Rob, and welcome to the Ranger Rob Country Living Podcast.
All right. Y'all ready for some freedom loving, country living, self-reliant Americans in action? Rob and Sherry know just what you're looking for. They got cooking, building, installation, and so much more. He'll be coming down the mountain, won't he? This fella ain't no phony. You can know what he knows, one video at a time. Ranger Rob, country living. Ranger Rob, country living.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ranger Rob Country Living Podcast. This show focuses on the audio, but there is a video version of this on YouTube. Welcome to the show. So on this show, I can kind of break down and go into detail more in the videos. We do our daily vlog, and we hit subjects and stuff. Like today, I think I mentioned something about prepping, and so I'll start with that. So on Prepper Nation, I was listening to his show, and I tried to catch some of his shows, and he had an interesting one. It said something about non-preppers beware type thing. So I watched it, and he had an interesting concept or thing to think about. But there's people out there that definitely are preparing for issues of stuff hit the fan type stuff, and but their attitude of prepping is a little different than, say, yours or mine is. And so theirs is pretty much have all the guns and ammunition they need, and what they need when things get bad, they'll just take from other people, because they figure a bunch of people will be down and out, and those that are prepped, instead of them prepping and preparing for themselves, they're just going to overtake you and take your stuff. And so that's kind of disheartening, but it's probably a real true concept, a real true problem. And so it made me think a lot. Excuse me. I think one of the best ways is, if you're not able to stop someone from entering your premises, and they get the best of you, let's put it that way, and you want to live, I would suggest spread your preps out in the most unique areas throughout your property, whether it's different garages, different storage bins, utility buildings, well houses, whatever, and spread your preps out. So give them the benefit of taking something, and thinking that they, it isn't always likely that they want to actually hurt you. They just want your stuff. So let them have some of your stuff. Because really, when it comes down to you just want to continue living, continue being able to feed yourselves, and be self-sustaining during a bad time like that. So, but it's a terrible thought, and unfortunately, there's probably a lot of people like that, or people that will become like that because they didn't prep. Because like in Prepper Nation, he calls them zombies, the ones that just think something will never happen. The people think the electricity will always be on, the water will always be on, the septic tanks will always work, on and on. So there's so many people that just don't think beyond the fact that the grocery store will always have food, there'll always be something in the meat department, and the lights will always be on, and they just can't comprehend it not being any other way. And so those people you probably don't have to worry about unless they convert into one of these "I will take your stuff" kind of people. So that's kind of a gloomy subject, probably as much as I want to talk about it right now. But it's kind of something to keep in mind, that one is, it's one thing to be prepping. It will be another one to defend your stuff, to defend your property, and defend your family. And so keep that in mind. It's pretty important. And but sad, but true. We know most of you are responsible dog owners and want to keep our parks and recreational areas pristine. Most of us have been stuck with cheap dog waste bags that are inconsistent and cumbersome. That's why we created RangerRob Poopy Bags. RangerRob Poopy Bags are larger, deeper, stronger, and leak-proof. Most of all, they have handles that make the bag easy to turn inside out and to seal with your dog's business. RangerRob Poopy Bags are lemon-scented, eco-friendly, and come in sheets and now in rolls. Stop getting stuck with cheap waste bags when you can have a RangerRob quality premium dog waste bags. RangerRob Poopy Bags are cost effective. They're in Amazon and you can get free shipping right now. Make picking up dog waste easier and comfortable. RangerRob Poopy Bags, making dog waste pickup a little easier. So before I forget, and I did forget because I haven't done a podcast in a while, is I do want to remind you that the RangerRob Country Living podcast is available on Spreaker and several other platforms, iHeartRadio, it should be on pretty soon, Spotify, and several other platforms as time goes on here. We're also featured as a radio show on Good Talk Radio. So if you go to goodtalkradio.com, go to the schedule and you'll see what days we actually play the RangerRob Country Living podcast, and which is part of the Cutting Edge Radio Network. And we are sponsored and supported by the Cutting Edge Radio Network and also the RangerRob Poopy Bags, which will explain why we have a few little quick commercials in here because it's just how it is with podcasts. So anyway, but all those links to find, especially Spreaker, is linked down below in the description. And we'd love to have you subscribe to that. Or you can just wait for it to come out on YouTube, which is on the RangerRob Country Living channel. So there, I got that done with and so forth. So just got past Father's Day. Of course, this show comes out weekly, so it might be a couple days after. So it was actually kind of a day of rest for me and Sherry a little bit. Of course, we have our normal chores. You just can't skip, like opening up the greenhouse and making sure all the tanks for the hydroponics is filled up and running well before we can go play. And so after we got all our chores done, we actually went to a casino, which we have a real dinky little casino over in the Bend, Oregon area, which is actually in Warm Springs. And held our own, didn't really lose any money. Well, we didn't lose any at all, and just had a good time. And that's really, hey, if you can do that, it's a good thing. So I don't do that very often. It's just when we lived in the city, we used to go to the casino a lot more. But nowadays, the money that we could have lost at a casino would have gone towards the homestead more. So it's not really something in our best interest anymore. We just go on a holiday or a birthday or something. So yeah. And I'm drinking water once in a while, so you might hear some noise. And we have really good water here, by the way. So hydroponics, I guess let's talk about hydroponics a little bit. What the heck got us going into that? Well, first of all, if you're from Central Oregon, you'll realize most of our dirt is crummy. It's real sandy dirt. So when we first moved here last year, we had an area where we wanted to do conventional gardening, and we actually brought in 5 yards of compost. A truckload came in, and I tilled it in and all that stuff. And then after I was done, then it looked like I hardly touched the ground. And but it's like, all right. And we added some other things to it, from potting soils, and did what we can to amend the soil a little bit. And we decided to go ahead and put a fabric weave over the top of it. So we laid out our conventional gardens with the fabric weave, and it was about a 25 by 30, maybe 25 by 40, something around there is the size of the main one. Then we have a smaller section we put weave on. And of course, we're doing that kind of stuff during the fall and winter. And we started, doing it. Go on the YouTube with questions and ideas and how to deal with the soil and how to deal with this growing season, which is a lot different than Phoenix, where we came from. So we had some learning to do, but we kept kind of stumbling onto and being intrigued by hydroponics. And there's more than one way to do hydroponics. They have what's called a raft system, where you just float a styrofoam on water that has nutrients on it, drill holes in the styrofoam and put your, what they call net cups in there, and you get different sizes. And then they had this one thing called Dutch buckets. I thought that was really cool. Those are basically buckets all tied in together. Water pours into each one, and the water comes out of the bottom, goes into a return pipe and goes back to the tank and recycles the water. And that's really cool. And I was like, wow, that's a great way to do tomatoes. And of course, during the winter, we also built a greenhouse. And so that's what we decided. We're going to do Dutch buckets in the greenhouse along the edges. And then in the middle, we'll do floating rafts, all hydroponics, not aquaponics. There's a difference. Aquaponics deals with using fish and stuff as a nutrients into your water. We're just doing hydroponics, where we make our own nutrients. We put nutrients into water and let and feed our plants that way. And then there's one more system called NFT, which is nutrient film. I want to say transfer, but it's technique, I believe. And basically what that is a long pipe with holes on the top that goes to a tank. The tank pumps the water to the front of the pipe. There's about a 3-degree slope to the whole pipe, and the water runs through it like a small stream, and the plants are put in holes on the top, which the roots are into the nutrients that are flowing by, and they get their oxygen from the difference of the water below and the space above. And anyway, and it's a really cool system. Well, instead of just doing one of them, well, actually we did a fourth one too, which is strawberry towers using Mr. Stacky's, and which has a nutrient fed tank to it, but we don't recycle that water. It goes straight into the ground. And probably not the most efficient. There is ways to get stackers that can capture water below and then recycle it. But on ours, we put big buckets down below to capture the water dripping. And then in turn, we put like radishes and carrots below that. So anyway, so we got 4 kinds of hydroponics. Thought it was fantastic. I didn't have to amend the soil. I just had to become a plumber. So, and I get something in my head, and I've done this all my life. It's like, I want to do it. And Sherry goes, yeah, it does look pretty cool. Go for it. So I built one system, and I built another, and it just kept going. Before you know it, it's like, oh my gosh, I got quite the systems. So I hope if you go to the RangerRob Country Living channel and we do our daily vlog, you will see how we're maintaining these things, the problems that come up, the good things that happen, the amazing growth. And it's a lot of work. It's but you know, I'm retired, so I have time to work on it. I don't feel retired because I've got my homestead, and of course I've got my normal business stuff. And so yeah, I'm a busy guy, but in a good way. I always tell people, at least the wife knows where I'm at. The last thing you'll ever see RangerRob ever doing is sitting on a couch, drinking beer, watching football games. Never happen. Never, ever, ever happen. I'm just a busy guy, and I don't like to do things half-ass. I could do things better, but you know, it's like, I'm going to do hydroponics, and I'm going to do it. I mean, I'm going to do it. Not just a little teeny little system. Oh no. So now I've got like more, you know, it's almost summer. I've got more lettuce than I can stand. And my neighbors are like, are you kidding me? And it won't be long. I'm going to have so many tomatoes because I overplanted something fierce. I filled all the Dutch buckets, and then I had leftovers, and I put those in pots. I've got those in fabric pots outside in the garden. I probably easily have 35 or 40 tomato plants going. And I tell you one thing, anything that's in the hydroponics or the Dutch buckets is growing almost 2 to 3 times faster than conventional tomato plants that are outside. It's amazing. Not against either way. I think to grow anything is a good thing. How you do it, that's up to you. It's just a good thing. So anyway, guys, hydroponics is what we're doing. Hydroponics is what we're learning. We're learning something new every time. As you go, it's like how, you got to kind of figure out what your rhythm is, how often you run your the NFT, the little river system, runs 24/7. But like the Dutch buckets, they just run 15 minutes, maybe 4 times in a 24-hour period. And the same thing with the towers. I only have to run them for about 6 or 7 minutes. That could change with the summer here and stuff like that. The other thing is you don't think your tanks are you're going to be changing out your tanks or filling them up a lot. Why? Because of evaporation. And 2, the plants drink your water. They drink your nutrients. And so it's amazing. I can go through 38 gallons of water in a week and have to refill that tank. And it's like, where'd the water go? And of course, if you had any leaks at the first time, you can blame that a little bit. But once you fix all your leaks, which I've done, it's the plants. Plants are just slurping it up, and that's a good thing. But the one thing I really like about hydroponics is you'll use a whole lot less water than conventional growing and or farming. And so it's kind of a lead by example, and you can do it in any level, small, medium, large. However, if you just got an apartment, a little porch, a townhouse, a condo, you can do hydroponics. You can do it in your house, in your garage, on your porch, on and on. You can do it indoors, outdoors, or half and half, under a carport, doesn't matter. You can do it, whether you can use natural light or use growing lamps. It doesn't matter. It's just, if you want to grow something, you can. And I highly recommend you get in the habit of growing a few things, and the more you do it, the more you'll like it. And in this day and age, I think it's good for all of us to be growing something, whether it's just salads or if it's herbs or maybe microgreens. You just do what you can, and then learn how to store, learn how to dry things, use a freeze dryer, use just a regular dryer. I just went blank on the name of that. It'll come to me in a minute. Dehydrator, or you can learn how to can. If you can't grow a whole lot of things, find out where your nearest farmer's market is, or produce, fresh produce, buy in bulk and store it. Find a way to can it, freeze it, whatever you need to do, just in case. And it wouldn't hurt if you're just in an apartment and stuff. If power goes out, you won't get that many complaints. But I'd also think about having a little generator, whether it's a small one or a big one, something to just be able to keep your refrigerator going or your freezer. You don't have to run it the whole time. You just run it for an hour or two, get the freezer up to freezing, and then shut her down and let it wait for another 24 hours and fire it up again. But yeah, hydroponics is amazing. Cutting Edge Radio Network now has 3 major stations that you can enjoy. Good Talk Radio, bringing you 24/7 of high-quality talk shows. Good Music Radio, bringing you 24/7 of classic rock and top hits. And Good Old Radio, 24/7 vintage radio shows, podcast form, and 24/7 radio. So come join us at Cutting Edge Radio Network for a full flavor of radio entertainment. And we are back. I told you we have a couple sponsor things. They're short, they're sweet, and they're good stuff. So I want to talk just a little bit more about, people may not really notice it, but we own Cutting Edge Radio Network also, which is 3 radio stations. One is called Good Talk Radio, which is conservative talk, and it's 24/7. It's a licensed radio station, internet, and you can find it at goodtalkradio.com, and you just go to our schedule and find out if there's a show in there you'll like. We have all kinds of great shows in there, including this one. We also have Good Music Radio. That's goodmusicradio.com. And that is a classic rock with, a good variation of all the way back to the 1940s. Because it wouldn't be unusual to hear a little Dean Martin once in a while or something from that far back. And then also the most popular pop songs, but only good songs, but basically classic rock. And it runs 24/7, and you can find that at goodmusicradio.com. And then last but not least, we have Good Old Radio. Yep, goodoldradio.com. Now that's a combination radio station, which you can just listen to old time radio shows 24/7. And they're kind of random. You just never know which one. And sometimes that's kind of cool because you kind of like, oh, I really like Gunsmoke. And then all of a sudden something comes from Dimension X and you go, whoa, that's really cool. And then after that, it's a comedy type thing. You just never know. And so we have hundreds, maybe thousands of shows on there. So it'd be unlikely you'll ever hear the same show twice. But it's also in a podcast form on goodoldradio.com, which is on several platforms. And you can just pick and choose the shows you like. If you just like Gunsmoke, or you just like Have Gun Will Travel, or something like that, just listen to those. And it's in a podcast form. You can do that not only through your PC, but also in your phone. If you just go to Podcast Addict, you can put it on that on your phone. It's free, and then subscribe to Good Old Radio, and there you go. So yeah, that's a real thing. It's radio stations. It's worldwide, and it's a great opportunity to hear some really super shows. Good Talk Radio is amazing. So yeah, if you like talk radio shows, yeah, it's there. You'll like it. So getting back to the hydroponics, I also wanted to talk about building the hydroponics. I enjoyed that a lot because one is you don't have to build it the same as everybody else. And it's like, I was looking at my hydroponics and it's all inside a little fenced area with fabric weave on it and stuff. And I go, well, it looks like I've filled up the whole thing. And then I saw another design. I'm going, wait a minute. No, it's not actually done because I have a fence around it, right? Well, you can run a pipe all the way around that fence and back to a tank, and you can actually put on another NFT system in there if you ever wanted to increase your ability to grow miscellaneous things along the fence line. So yeah, it's just never ending. You just got to keep your mind open and change your paradigms about how you would grow things. The important thing is sunlight if you can get it, or growing lights, or where you live, and your design, your tanks. The pumps are usually low wattage pumps. They don't hurt your power bill at all. And so anyway, but it was fun to build. The Dutch buckets were really cool. The floating rack cake, the towers for the strawberries, that was just fun. It was like, those look so cool. And now they're just about ready to start kicking out a lot of strawberries. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And I didn't use soil. I used coconut coir, perlite, and then in other cases, I'll use vermiculite. Yeah, you just don't have to deal with dirt. We still do conventional growing, and we still have potting soil, and we still do stuff in that. I'm not against it and stuff, but hydroponics, you just don't have to deal with dirt. Coconut coir is amazing to grow stuff in. Put a little perlite in it, makes it breathe really well. The coconut coir holds moisture really well. And if you're just putting nutrients in it, you're set. So, but building, I've never been really a plumber or anything, so I had to learn a few new tricks and come up with some clever ways to hang pipe and move pipe around and get it to do what I wanted to do. And I had some fails and I had some successes and mostly successes, but definitely a few fails. But that was what was so fun about it. Would I do some things different? Definitely. Am I happy with everything so far? But when I'm done this year, I might tweak a few things and make it a little better, or modify it to be larger, or and then once you get past the art of doing all the plumbing and designing, it's also learning how to prepare your seeds and then handle your seedlings. Right in the middle of everything, I decided I needed to change the way I did my seedlings, because going from starter to stuff into an NFT or into a hydroponic system, there's some stuff I could skip doing. But if you start off using like Oasis cubes or Rockworld cubes and stuff like that, you don't necessarily need to use those for hydroponics. And so right in the middle of everything, I had to kind of change my process because I was kind of doing a lot of non-value activity. And I still am, because that's how this year started. But next year I'll be just that much more on top of things. And then the other thing is learning how to deal with a greenhouse and what I can and can't do with it. Never had a greenhouse before. I just built one. And then suddenly I've got this greenhouse. It's like, well, what can I do with this thing? And what's the benefits of it? And when winter comes, can I get it warm enough to maybe do stuff during the winter? Don't know. Got some ideas. I'm thinking about insulating it. Yeah, but I'll wait till we're done with tomatoes. And when we pull everything down from that, I was like, I may actually double insulate the inside walls with plastic. So light still goes through and stuff, but also help insulate it by putting a barrier between the outside and the inside, and then put a heater in there and see if I can keep it above 40, maybe, and get maybe even up to 50. Wow, that would be amazing. I could grow stuff in the winter time. I mean, with snow and the whole works. It's not like this isn't like the greenhouse you buy and we built our own. So, anyway, the build was fun. It was great. If you like that kind of stuff or want to learn how to do that kind of stuff, you just dive in and do it. And, so yeah, hydroponics, just fun concept. And the big benefit is how fast things grow and how you can control it. And one of the things I tell people is when you're growing things in hydroponics, the plants will tell you if something's wrong. It'll give you hints, and it'll tell you what you need to do to make them grow better. But yeah, I highly recommend hydroponics. I don't care where you live, where you're at, you could probably pull it off. All right, so if you're a beginner hydroponic person or just starting, it doesn't matter. Why? Because I've never done hydroponics ever. I'm 60 years old, never did it. And I've had my lumps and bumps, but I'm pulling it off. Gosh, I mean, I wish I would have learned this stuff when I was younger, but hey, I can do it now. And you're never too late, never too old. Just dive in and do it. All I can say is there's tons of resources. There's lots of channels. Our channels talk about it all the time. There's several other hydroponics. There's a guy named Hucho, or Huchos. He's probably the best at showing the build and the different techniques. There's some other ones I watch. I think it's MG Gardner. I think it's something like that. He actually started doing hydroponics in Dutch buckets quite a few years ago and made quite a few videos about it. And I just pretty much saw how his tomatoes were doing. I'm going, I want a piece of that action. And by the way, in our buckets, we only use perlite. And perlite doesn't really even hold water, because one of the secrets about tomatoes is they're really sensitive plants, and they can get root rot really bad too and stuff. And the trick is not to overwater them. If you overwater them, then you got problems and blight and things like that. So once I kind of got past that and realized perlite is perfect, the water or nutrients come in from the top of the bucket and spray over the roots. And then at the bottom of the bucket, there's about 2 inches of water. So there's always nutrients available to the plant if it needs it. But basically, after the nutrients spray for about 15 minutes, then the roots dry out a little bit, and that's where it gets aerated, and it gets oxygen to the roots and gives it nice and healthy. And so that's the magic of using perlite. Now you could add vermiculite in it too, and vermiculite would hold more moisture. But with tomatoes, not necessarily other plants, but with tomatoes, letting them breathe seems to be the trick. And so that's the route I decided to go. So it's just pure perlite in my buckets. And yeah, no dirt, no vermiculite, no coconut coir, just perlite. And the cool thing is, at the end of the year when I'm done with the season and I pull my plants, I can reuse all that perlite. And so, yeah. And I don't know, I just find it fascinating. I've just never done this kind of stuff before. And perlite's not very expensive, and it goes a long ways. So, yeah, guys, if you're a beginner or want to get started, I'm telling you, I am a beginner. I'll call myself a beginner. You look at my stuff, you wouldn't think I'm a beginner. But yeah, and I am not a very good engineer. There's some people who have built some really cool hydroponic systems, much better than I have. And they don't have to look pretty. They just got to be functional. After years of research and countless hours of R&D work, teams were assembled, research was presented, and the idea was put out to the public. If this could be done, the world would be amazed. Outdoor life would be changed forever. Hiking, vacation, and camping would never be the same. They got the work, they started designing, they made the product, and it's here today just for you. Yes, RangerRob poopy bags are finally here. They're bigger, deeper, smell like lemon, and strong. Available at Amazon at low cost and free shipping. Okay, guys, you probably say, RangerRob or Rob, what's the deal with the poopy bags? And the fact is, they're mine. I created them. I designed them from scratch. And why? It's because I used to be a full-time RVer. Sherry and I had a full-time RV for a while. We had Cinder with us, our dog. And, you know, we'd be to different parks and different dog parks and different hikes and stuff. And a lot of times, some of the free ones you got were terrible. But we started to find out that we kind of like bags with handles. And then I found out they're kind of hard to get. And so finally, after I retired and we stopped traveling, I was in Arizona, I designed a bag that has handles a little bit bigger and wider, so it handles any size dog, and it's strong, and so there's no problem with little leaks or anything like that. And it's easy to turn inside out and tie into a knot and put into the garbage. And they do break down in landfills. And so we made them lemon scented. They're large, they're strong, they have handles, and you can buy them in sheets or you can buy them on rolls. And then we also have a little kit with a little fabric dispenser and rolls. So yeah, you can find them all on Amazon. They're very affordable, and they're excellent dog waste bags. It's almost a pleasure to use them. It's so easy. They're not cumbersome. They're not hard to turn inside out, and they're easy to seal. And then if you have to carry it for a distance, the handles make it very easy, and it keeps it away from you as you're moving into or finding a garbage can. So yeah, that's the deal with the RangerRob poopy bags. And so I also, the old nickname RangerRob is something that came back in my hunting and fishing days. And I actually bought the domain years ago, and then I bought the trademark. So yeah, so the reason we use RangerRob is it's actually a brand. It's a trademark that I actually own. In my overall company, I actually own a corporation called Cutting Edge Enterprises, LLC. And that owns all of our trademarks. We also own the trademark RV Travel Buddy for the days that we're traveling. So yeah, it just kind of protects the names a little bit and keeps us out of trouble. And it's kind of an honor, and kind of the RangerRob is kind of special because I've actually had that nickname since I was almost 20. The guys used to tease me because we used to go salmon fishing a lot up in Washington State, up in Nia Bay and CQ and all those places. On the radio, somehow it just came across the radio once. You guys, and they nicknamed me RangerRob, and so ever since there it's stuck. And so I've kept the name, and I kind of did something about it. So yeah, we own RangerRob.com, the domain. We own the trademark, and we put it on our products. So yeah, that's what's going on with that. But the poopy bags are awesome, and a lot of love went into them. We wanted to design something that worked well, and not just so and get by type of thing. Is you really want good dog waste bags, get RangerRob poopy bags. That's why I designed them. And yeah, they're not like, you'll see once you get them, you'll find once you used one, you'll find they're a lot different than the ones you've used in the past. They're truly different. So give them a try. RangerRob poopy bags on Amazon. And just for the sheets in a box, it's under $10. So yeah, it's a good deal. And you get free shipping on Amazon. So go for it, guys. Try it. You'll like it. Seriously. That's why I got 2 dogs now, because it's so easy to pick up the poop. Yep. You're not buying now, yeah. Well, it does have Cinder's picture on the box. That makes it worth it. Okay, I'm back again. I just had a brief change there. I wanted to talk about some of the homesteading channels I watch. Now I'm going to make an official video that actually shows the links and everything else, but I'm just going to do this in general conversations, provided I can remember some of this. And just because I watch them, it doesn't mean I watch every show, but I am subscribed to them, and I try to catch shows that catch my interest. For example, I do like Justin Rhodes. I do like what he's doing with permaculture and how he's renewing his land and letting the animals do the work. We also do that on our homestead to the best of our abilities. We don't have the kind of livestock he's got, but we do utilize our chickens more and use compost bins and stuff like that. And we also find that a lot of things that come off of our garden that are extra, when you're trimming lettuce, things like that, all that stuff goes to the chickens. And if for some reason we can't harvest everything we got, it goes to the chickens. And if it's not our chickens, it's going to the compost bins. So nothing goes to waste, and we're not wasting food. Either it goes to the animals or becomes part of our growing medium for next year. So that's a good feeling. I really like the fact that Terry and I are wasting a heck of a lot less food. It's being utilized. Another one we watch is Good Simple Living. As a young couple with kids up in Idaho that started a homestead from scratch, buying bare land. Hard workers. They had a great opportunity to get out of Washington, go up to North Idaho and build they started off with a pole barn, and then slowly got a garden going, got a housing, starting to build their house from scratch, and all the things that they've gone through just to get to the stages, and they're not done yet. Really cute show to watch. Some of the other ones, we do watch Prepper Nation occasionally. He's a little more hardcore in some things than we are. I kind of address the average Joe prepper. However, really there's not a lot of things I disagree with him on stuff. Yeah, so we enjoy that show. We also like, and see if I can remember this, Living Traditions Homestead. I'm going to say Ozark, but I might be wrong. Anyway, they are very good at doing detailed videos of building certain things that they're doing. It actually gave us a lot of clues of how we wanted to do our chicken pen, but I really enjoy them. They actually lived in Arizona too, and they've become quite a knowledgeable couple, and do very detailed videos. And I urge you not only just to subscribe to them, but go back if you're getting ready to homestead or doing homesteading or need ideas. And they go a little hardcore. I mean, they also have pigs and I don't think they have any sheep. They might cows, and they actually have meat cows too. So and dairy. Anyway, and chickens and some ducks and some other things. So you can learn a lot about their processes, and they also do a lot of growing, and also service their local farmers market and sell products there. So they tell you how they do it. They're just a very nice couple, very polite and humble. I really like their show. I'm trying to think some of the other shows we watch you might get a kick out of that help with homesteading or prepping. We do occasionally watch Canadian Prepper. Once again, he's a little more hardcore than we are. However, he's really good about playing out scenarios and giving you ideas of what you might or might not want to do if something was to happen. That's always good. Fun videos that we really enjoy is SV Delos, which is a sailboat people. There's a lot to learn from those people. They've been sailing for years now. And I'd go from the very beginning and watch every episode, because you'll see the growth of traveling in a sailboat for years. You want to talk about how to deal with prepping. You'll learn a lot from those people, because they have to be, self-sufficient in a boat when it comes to power, food, fixing things, the whole works. And they're just a fun couple to watch and see them grow over the years. That one. There's also Melissa Norris up in Washington. We do enjoy her because she also is out of Washington State, and we actually grew up there. I knew it was just a matter of time that if I did a podcast, my wife would call me. And so I had to do a quick break in me there. You probably don't notice it so much, but I had to answer the phone. So I'm back. And so, and Sherry and I, she doesn't call that often or check on me and stuff, but she is good about just kind of making sure that we're communicating. And that's what you need to do when you've been married almost 41 years. Can you believe it? Man. She's been that lucky for 41 years. What a lucky woman she's been to be hanging out with RangerRob the whole time. Poor thing. Anyway, guys, what were we talking about? Some of our favorite shows we watch. Let's see, I think I got some of my main ones covered. If something pops up in my head in the middle of this, there's other shows we watch, but we don't. Who Chose, by the way, I said that earlier in the show. Who Chose is really good for hydroponics. Having too many things going through my brain right now. I'm disrupted from the phone call. So anyway, Who Chose, super good for that. But there's so many people doing hydroponics. You want to look at the large scale and small scale, because you'll want to build what's good for you, not exactly what they're doing. So, there's a lot of great YouTube shows out there, and I'm sure you'll find some that we haven't discovered yet. I'm constantly finding new shows all the time, but those are the ones that really stand out for the ones that we watch on a regular basis. So I urge you to go check them out. Of course, once I did the little break there, I thought of one more website I should have bring up. It's called Homestead Family. They are really good about doing a very planned out show, or kind of a podcast vlog, whether they're talking about their gardens, and the woman, the wife, is really proficient at preserving food. So there's so many techniques that she talks about. So I highly recommend you go back on their history and find subject matters that you might be interested, especially when it comes to preserving food. However, they have a very short season up there in Idaho, so there's a lot of things to learn from how they grow things up there, because they have to deal with extreme temperatures sometimes and unpredictable weather. And we kind of benefit from it because we're in Central Oregon, and so we actually get some unusual temperatures once in a while and get thrown. And they have techniques and ideas that will help you stay out of trouble if you have a weather switch on you out of nowhere, and you got your gardens all set up and stuff. So Homestead Family, I believe, is the name of their channel, and definitely worth your time. Alrighty, I'm going to change the subject here a little bit. I want to get to chicken eggs. Where did that come from? And because I was thinking about preserving, and I just looked at my monitors. So by the way, in my office where I do this studio I have, I also can monitor our property, and I also monitor our chickens because it's kind of fun. And I can see in one of the nest, whether they got eggs in there and stuff, and I can see their overall pen and stuff like that. But I saw their eggs there, and I'm going, that was one of the biggest dilemmas we had when we first decided to homestead, is we wanted chickens, and I wanted a good quantity, and even I have 10 laying hens, no roosters, all Rhode Island Reds. I like the big brown eggs. And so, we got them started, got their pen built, all that stuff. Long story short, you can watch our videos how we built it. And it's been almost a year now, and we're getting about 9 to 10 eggs a day. Nice, big, beautiful eggs. But, you think about that, 10 eggs a day, 7 days, in a week, that's 70 eggs. Can you eat 70 eggs a week? Well, we can't either. So our biggest worry was, and I was thinking of the Homestead family folks. They have a technique of how you can store eggs in lime for a long period of time. And we were going to do that before we discovered the good old freeze drying. So there's 2 techniques we use with our eggs. One is we'll take, say, 6 eggs and scramble them, put them in a plastic bag and seal them up, lay them on their side, put a date on there, and literally freeze them like that. And they're good for a long time. All you have to do is pull one of those out, set it in some warm water. It thaws out very quickly since it's flat, and throw them on the pan, a hot pan, and cook them, and you get scrambled eggs, and they taste like day one. That's one way. But then we discovered freeze drying, and we bought a freeze dryer this year. And so now we freeze dry about 46 eggs a week, and we turn them into powder. And what's cool about powder is once you changed them to that, sealed the bag, put a oxygenator thing in there, it's good for 25 years. So anyway, if anything, when stuff hits the fan, we'll have tons of eggs, because it's been quite a few months now, and we've been doing that on a weekly basis. You'd be surprised how many bags of eggs we have in powder form that, you can still cook with them. You open the bag, you take 2 tablespoons of the powder and 2 tablespoons of water, mix them, and it looks like and tastes like day one. It's amazing. So if you want not to waste eggs, of course, we'll give a raw egg to our dogs every once in a while because it's good for their coats and stuff. And we don't give our eggshells back to the chickens. Some people say it's no big deal, but I just don't want my chickens to get in the habit of thinking eggs taste good. I understand the calcium would be good for them, but I'll do that some other way. But I just don't want to give my raw eggshells to the chickens. But all of our raw eggshells go into our compost bin, so they're not going to waste. We never throw away eggshell. But I tell you one thing, we try to eat eggs here a lot. And we got, as neighbors, people love us. He's like, you want some eggs? So yeah, we actually give out a lot of eggs. We have some people buy eggs from us, and we really appreciate it. We just kind of put it towards the chicken feed, and we don't ask for big bucks. But we have one gal that's so appreciative of the technique we use for cleaning our eggs, because our boxes are designed that the chickens tend to lay clean eggs. We got the design from a Swiss company, how we did our boxes. And it's nothing fancy. It's just a technique that some reason they don't mess their eggs up as much as they would otherwise. There's other people that make the designs where the eggs roll out of the box at the bottom and you can get them on a separate shelf. But I tend to still like to give the chickens a really good natural bedding. We use hay. So I just didn't like that technique where a lot of people use a surface that really isn't soft, isn't really like a nest, but it will cause the egg to roll downward outside of the nesting box to a separate shelf so they don't get messed on and stuff. But to me, I just didn't like that. I wanted to keep things as natural for the chickens as possible. But preserving eggs is really big, and so now that we got the freeze dryer, it's changed everything. It's just like if I want to cook make a cake, all we'd have to do is just I need 1 egg. Great, no problem. 2 tablespoons of the powder and 2 tablespoons of water, mix it together and throw it into the cake mix. So it doesn't keep us from cooking anything in the future that we really, really want. Obviously, we're not going to have eggs over heart or anything like that. That's where the lime technique would come in. And if you watch Homestead Family, she shows you the technique of how you can store raw eggs into lime. Now, the other important thing is it's got to be an egg that hasn't been washed. And that's why it's really important to try to get your eggs clean without having to wash them. You want the eggs natural. Because that protective coat that chickens put on an egg will cause them to last much longer than the ones you buy at the store. The ones at the store are washed and they don't have that protective coating like a natural egg does. So if you can buy your eggs and they haven't been washed and you want to preserve them in lime, that's the way to go. But, you got to find people that aren't washing their eggs. And we don't wash ours, except we do get some eggs that are messed up, but we're not doing the lime thing, so we don't need to worry about that. And we never have eggs here that are more than 4 days old, because we either freeze dry them or are giving them away. So I don't know. I just thought that'd be some information that you might want to know about how we deal with our eggs. And like I said, there's really 3 techniques: freeze them, freeze dry them, or use the lime solution technique, which I highly recommend that you learn how to do that from Homestead Family website or their YouTube channel. And you got to make sure they're eggs that aren't washed. So there you go. So this is just a reminder that what we're going to be doing on this channel or on this particular podcast. One is we'll go into more depth on things we've talked about on the vlog or what we do on our daily basis. And also any interesting comments that come up as we go. We'll probably address them more in depth on the podcast because we'll have more time to do so. But the other thing, I just want to make sure you know what our parameters are, or what we're going to try to do on this podcast, is we'll definitely be talking about homesteading and off-grid. We'll also be talking about prepping or being more prepared. I don't really typically want to use the word prepping all the time, or just being more self-reliant is really the word I want to say, and some of the techniques you can do. And I want to make it clear that we're not hardcore preppers. We're more into self-reliance and providing for our family if there's a crisis. And these crises, they don't have to be like apocalyptic. I'm talking about things that could even happen during hurricanes or tornadoes or power is out. We got a lot of brownouts going out this summer. And I have no idea what kind of problems could happen in the summer. Well, the winter, we had some terrible things in Texas. And I couldn't believe there'd be comments out there. Some gal was on there, she says, I don't know how to heat up water. Well, come on, people. So we're going to, we'll talk about those kind of things, some of the things we've done here, some of the things that we heard about. If we happen to come across a really cool product, we'll tell you about it. But yeah, that's kind of what we're here for. And we like to be real. I mean, I kind of consider myself kind of your standard person that kind of wants to learn some new things, and yet I don't want to get hardcore. I'm not going to go around with army boots on and camouflage stuff all the time. That's for the youngins. I'm too old for that stuff. Am I planning on bugging out or something if something happened? It's like, that would be the last thing on my list. But I live by Mount Hood kind of, so, that thing ever went off, we could have a real big ash problem here or something. And it's like, I may be forced to bug out, but don't want to do it. So, but we'll talk about things that we do with our vehicles, the things we do with our water, how we filter water if we need to. We'll be talking about all kinds of stuff like that. And things that come up when it comes to growing. We'll be talking about hydroponics a lot and what we've discovered or mistakes we've made. Conventional growing, how we're dealing with the Central Oregon weather. We have a very short window for growing. really only starts in the middle of June to our first freeze, which I'm not sure exactly what that date is, but it can happen pretty quickly. And so we have a smaller window than some folks do when it comes to a growing season. So that's why we're learning how to use a greenhouse. And hopefully what we've learned with our greenhouse will pass on to you guys. So really, that's what our channel's all about. And just being friends with you guys and sharing information. We're not better than you by any means. We are just telling you what we're learning and hopefully giving you the enthusiasm to do some of this stuff, whether outdo us or do just parts of things we're doing. Compete with us. I don't care. As long as I know you're doing it. And I'll always let you know that there's always a touch of faith in everything that Sherry and I are doing. We don't get too hardcore into that, but you need to know that's what motivates us every day. So anyway, I hope that's kind of helps you know what to expect from this channel. And also any of the comments that you send to us, let us know what you'd like us to talk about. It might be something we're doing already or thinking about addressing. This has been our first year in the homestead. And so we kind of had to stop and quit developing things and maintain what we have and learn how to use all this new equipment and all this new growing technique. And so not a lot of new things are going to happen until the fall, till we have a clear understanding of what worked and what didn't work. So in closing, which I can't believe how quick this time goes, I want to thank you very much for listening to our podcast. Please remember this is a podcast, but there is a video version of this too, but this is designed to be listened to on your cell phone, through your PC, whatever you like to listen to podcasts. We will be available on all the major platforms. I highly recommend you download Podcast Addict. It's a free download, and it's a great way to manage your podcasts. Not only ours, but several of the other ones we do, but thousands of podcasts are available to you. And hopefully you choose ours too. So we like to share the humor. We like to share our humbleness and our funny innovations. And I want to thank you all for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're on YouTube, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our shows. And check out our radio stations and let us know the things you'd like us to talk about, or maybe even consider trying, if not this year, next year. We'd really appreciate it. So guys, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for being part of the RangerRob Country Living Podcast. Be safe. Until next time, bye now. Our videos are made possible by RangerRob Poopy Bags, available at Amazon right now. Thank you very much for watching our video. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and share our videos all over the whole wide world. Thanks.